It's an item that was delayed after more than an hour of discussion last month. Now the Wichita City Council will once again talk about funding for 2 robotic dogs for the Wichita Police Department. One would be assigned to SWAT, the other to the bomb squad. If both are purchased, they would be a discounted price of about $629,000. If the council chooses to only purchase one, police would say that would likely go to the bomb squad at a quoted price of $330,000. WPD says these robotic dogs are needed so officers are able to safely respond to emergencies without putting their lives directly on the line.
The fact that our current robotics have limitations, but secondarily, more important, is there's been a number of incidents that the chief has identified where we could have used these new robotics in those situations for officer safety and for incident specific issues that have come up.
The Wichita Police Department says their current robots require officers to be much closer to deploy them, and they take much longer to clear a property.